Okay, I'm just going to be talking about this based on things that I remember and just what I'm knowing about. I grew up a Mormon. I'm just going to let you know I went from Mormon, atheist, to spiritual. And ultimately, right now, the spirituality that I have is still, it's cosmic and it's reincarnation, but I still believe in soft nihilism. Okay, so let me explain what I mean about, I think I have knowledge because when you're Mormon, they do have you memorize a lot of stuff. So you are supposed to remember a lot of their scripture. Mormonism is a subsect of Christianity. So I know about that and extra text. The Christianity and Catholicism are basically similar. They have the same beliefs, it's just the shift is a little different. But they still have the same Bible bullshit. And as a Mormon, I knew about the Bible as well as whatever else they added. So I'm very well known about all of that. The thing is, it's been like almost 10 years since I've done the religion shit that I have autism, ADHD, and CPTSD, if not actually just PTSD, I don't know. Probably just CPTSD, that ultimately I don't remember things as well because my entire childhood and young adult life has been trauma. So a lot of it is going to be forgotten versus, keep what you can and all that. But if I could probably remember, it's just too many things that went on going in my life that I don't have a clear picture for all of y'all, because literally my body for the autism and the ADHD means that I'm not going to remember everything. However, although I don't remember everything, I inherently know that I probably know more than the average Joe who's in Christianity or whatever. I'm probably a little bit more knowledgeable than you because I've forgotten it for 10 years, almost 10 years. I don't read it anymore and all that. But I do remember certain parts of it. Some things were positive and they did help, I liked the alignment, but not all of it. And I still remember the meanings of what these types of religions are. The religions I'm familiar with is only white male religion, which is Christianity. There are probably parts of the texts that include positivity for women, but it is so incredibly rare based on what they do in these religions that it's almost coin tokens for the religion. So I don't believe that they kept these women as important because they didn't say anything about God having a feminine with him. Now, I want you to I'm talking about what I'm thinking about religion. Religion, I think that it's organized is when it gets it gets spoiled. And I think that if you just had spirituality based on individual, you can get good shit with that. I don't think you can for when there's people have to set rules for everyone, and also that it's for things that they don't even have any science based on it. It's entirely just based on just a rule book that doesn't really align with what humans inherently need. So the things with the religion that I was used to a very strict religion, and with mostly of people who are Christian or Catholic, the people in general, if they're not autistic, they assume that a rule is a general, and they always assume it does not apply to them. That's basically true for anyone of the neurotypicals versus to neurodivergence. The general people think that a rule is a general, but loops apply, and it always applies to them. And that specifically goes to the religion that I'm talking about right now. I'm not neurotypical. I have autism and ADHD. Am I diagnosed? No, it's $1,000. No, we don't have that. But yes, I am, because I get fired every fucking time. So when I grew up being Mormon, yes, they would have all these rules and all of that. And I assumed that because it's a rule, if it's a rule, you're not supposed to have things that are against it, you know? But that's really weird, because a neurotypical, they literally think that rules are not black and white. They never think that. They think it's only for those who it applies. And that's like as a general. And anyway, so religion is like that. Most people will be like, here's this very big rule, and they accept a lot of exceptions. So they go, I'm okay with this whole rule in general, but then this happened to me, and this won't apply to me. And that's how they do with the whole religions, okay? So inherently, even if you wanted to keep with a specific religion and you think you're following a rule, you're the one who's the outlier, because the rest of them assume that it's a general, and they will assume that it won't inherently apply to them. Which is funny, because, you know, humans, right? It's the whole population assumes that it's for everyone except for me. I can do this shit. Religion is just, it very much applies to that. And also keep in mind, with religious people, the whole thing about rules versus outliers, the whole population, our bosses, our politicians, our coworkers, even the rules of certain things, like if there's not a legal law, then it's not even important. It's more of like for the general flow, and I don't even think it applies to neurotypicals at all. I think they don't even follow those rules. Even the laws one, they don't even follow that. Anyway, so we're used to this in our entire society. You have a lot of people will be in the higher up, they have their rank, whatever that may be, and they enforce it, but they don't apply it to themselves. That's your whole society. And yes, that applies to your religion too, which is funny that people will take their religion, but you still have these people who are your rulers, your leaders, and they are enforcing it for you, but it doesn't apply to them either. So if you, as a neurotypical, understand that things don't apply to you because you count yourself as an outlier, or the loop is for you, then everyone has that belief. Everyone ever assumes that, which means if you have leaders, that's how they think too. So when they're enforcing you to a very strict religion, that doesn't apply to them either, like you don't think it applies to you. So the entire thing is for people who usually don't think it applies to them inherently. And so that's the entire cycle of rules. If it's not a law, and even then sometimes people will do against the law regardless, rules don't fucking matter to anyone, really. It's there, but except for to me. And then you're thinking about the drop in the bucket. But if everyone thinks that same thing, boom, it applies to everyone. So with religion, it's the same as the rest of your systems as a society. And I want to remember, if you're thinking about, I don't know about any of the other religions. This is all of my knowledge, and I don't remember it 100% because I haven't read a fucking anything about the Bible in 10 years, almost 10 years. Blah, blah, blah. I still know a lot because I had to memorize a lot of shit. Luckily, I don't remember that much because of having ADHD and autism. I do think about the generals, about the general point of the religions that I'm used to, which is the Bible, the Mormon books. And all of it is very, very male ego designed thing, where I don't even think that this is, I think because of the way it caters entirely to males, is not even, I can't accept that this is for the cosmos, because a lot of it is for men by men, where it doesn't even apply to the whole population. We're talking about just all of these people who read the religions. It only benefits two men, and even then it's a hierarchy. I already know that the entire society we have is for men by men, but part of that probably is just because of the religions that we've had. Colonialism and Catholicism and Christianity is the reason why we have white supremacy going on right now. And everything is because of that, where somebody goes at a fucking pedestal, a pulpit, and they start spewing to a lot of people, and it's always been fucking white dudes. And it's more of like you have this whole grandiosity based on a few dudes, and it spread. And then let me tell you about your fucking religion. It's if you get to the core of it, where you think that there is a God and it's one and it's a dude, why? And then the whole thing, like, how can you even think that, first of all, God said, you think that God is created based off of what God looks like. Even which means you are automatically think that means, like I say about the rules doesn't apply to them. Like, they just mean that you're human. So they don't even mean it literally. So if there was to believe that God is, that everyone's like God, they just mean that they're human. But if that were the case, then why is there no goddess? And why do we only listen to a one man in space who just rules a bunch of stuff for you? This is why Preacher was the best thing to fucking watch, okay? Because this shit's a joke. Religion, I know you believe in what you believe. I would say take what serves you and what does not. Let go of it, because I already know it's a toxic religious no matter what. If you don't think it's toxic, then I can't do anything for you because you are accepting that which is there. If you don't think there's a God with a woman or a femme who has a womb, then your whole core of religion is based on ignoring women. And the entire rest of it is based on that. So I get it that I saw this TikTok where a preacher or something, a priest or whatever, was saying like, oh, we do want, there's these certain things that I haven't listened to them very much. Sometimes there's ladies in the Bible who do something cool to change shit. Like sometimes kill dudes for being toxic and shit or whatever. I don't even listen to that very much because they don't bring that in my religious. When I was there as a Mormon, they didn't tell us that much. They had extra of texts, so you had a lot more, but ultimately they don't include that one that much. And they did in Mormonism, they kind of did a similar thing as what ladies did, but I don't know. There's stuff like that. So if you can't understand the core of your religion is that, first of all, nothing is black and white, because you yourself, you don't even believe in that. Because if you looked like God, everyone would look like one physical thing. But it means that we all look like humans. But at the same time, your God doesn't include another woman. And that's the whole 50% of the fucking population that's ignored entirely. So, and then the whole thing of, if you're even looking at the early of the fucking Bible about Adam and Eve, a joke, okay? Because I already tell you that we have our wombs, and if you look at the cycles based on the entire planet, everything is based on rebirth. Birthing, rebirthing, death, and life. And all of those has to be growing. Something has to be born. So everything matters about a womb. And yet, here we are. Your religion has nothing to do with women at all. And you have this God who's a dude, so he's just the sperm. There is no womb. He just blows into some clay and then it becomes a random dude. And then he's like, well, they have to have women. Even though I don't have a woman. I don't have a woman. I'll just grab a rib from the creation, the clay that I made. I take that and I go put it to ferment another human, and then it's a woman. Like that. This doesn't make any sense at all, right? So yeah, this is what I'm talking about, grandiosity. They'll just say something that supports what they want and all that. And I'm at the same point where I accept a lot of when things are bad, there was a point of that for people to have their iterations, their reincarnation, to figure out things going on. So that's like, these religious people who started this shit are fucking villains, because they created this whole thing that we have. White supremacy, colorism, is all starts based in that fucking religion. But it is what we accepted as souls in the cosmos, probably, that we wanted to learn it in a certain way. Ultimately, you don't have to believe in that shit, though. They didn't have the internet then. They only had a certain amount of writings that they had. They didn't even have newspapers yet. They just had they started with a Bible, and then they finally taught people how to read. The whole thing is in shambles. And I would say, if your religion starts with subjugating women, and your entire God does that, which is inherently toxic, how much are you accepting? How much do you swallow from what this religion tells you to do? And I'm sure I know, they're not going to listen to the whole video. I'm going to get a lot of comments where people go, blah, 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 blah. You're not going to listen to this. You didn't listen to this because this is 19 minutes and you're not going to accept any of this. A lot of people accept the toxicity that they want because it's comfy, as in it's not change. And change is scary for humans, and they don't want to know for all of that type of stuff. Probably why people did that with religious in the first place. When they created those, they were like, what if they think that humans change, the best I can do is nudge them into the way that I want to control them. So yeah, I'm going to tell them that women weren't created. They didn't have anything to do with wombs at all. It all just fucking happened. Like, The whole religious was to tell you that the miracle of birth is very unimportant. It doesn't even matter. So I'm not even telling you that much about your religion. I'm starting in the goddamn core, because if it's this one where I'm telling you that like God doesn't give a shit about wombs, what the fuck are you doing, man? So yeah, I'm not dealing with this. Like, I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack, which is good, because then I get people viewing all of this. I only want an audience, I guess, I don't know, maybe people will not find it because I get trolls and shit, but I want the audience who understand what I'm thinking about, because I still want to build community, which I would want people who align with the shit that I'm considering and what I want to go on with our entire society and our connection with the cosmos and all of that, versus people who believe the religion that they gave them, which is, a lot of people accept the fear because it's easy to understand than it is to ignore it. That's what I talk about, the fear, why we have it in the first place. Of course, that has your religion too. You're afraid to die. You're afraid of everything because of you having a flesh. Nothing makes sense. And if you still want to have those religious parts, like, that's the thing about religion too. Part of it is good. The fact that it is a syndicate is when it gets fucked up. And you have to know where you're getting from what. If you can feel about it based on your body, which most people don't know about their own bodies, they have no connection with what they have here in the flesh versus your soul. And most of the time, they don't even know their soul. It's just their brain for things that was programmed based on where you are in your life right now. It takes a long time to figure out that, especially once your brain is fully developed. My ass is still developing. My brain is still developing. So I'm having an easier time than you. I'll just be real. This is a little bit easier, and so I know I have a little bit of privilege based on that alone. But I had a lot of trauma based on that, so, like, hit or miss, good and bad. And so if you want to take that Christianity, like, I'm already telling you the way people believe of your rigid rules don't even apply to most of your people who are your membership, your people with you, your congregation. They don't believe that shit either. There's only a few who believe in that type of stuff. So if you want to believe on certain part of it, don't even keep for all of it. Just take shit that makes sense to you. The rest of them, like, they don't believe in all of that, so don't sweat it. Just trust shit that aligns with what you believe, which is hard for people to even do that in the first place because they don't even know who they are. It's really easy to control people when they don't know who they are. They don't know about themselves as an individual. And it's easier to have a congregation of afraid people. It's way easier to control than people who know who they are and how to value others. So you versus a community. But if you're all afraid, then you all do the same thing. But if you're an individual and you know about people who are, in your connection, you understand that you're an individual, you have other things to go on with you. The other people can have the other things. So it helps for spreading for whatever creation that they have, creativity, beliefs, whatever. A lot of people don't like that because you can't subjugate them easily. You're harder to maintain. So you don't have an individual self because you're easier. And that's why you also wouldn't have connection with other people because you don't know who you are. So The more you think about what things are going on, the better. Yeah. So that's only I'm only the surface. I ain't gonna do any further. I might, but I'm just letting you know.